anyways, let's move on to the next subject matter. And we won't spend a lot of time on this, John, but how would you describe the 2025 San Francisco Giants season? Because I've followed this team a long time. You know, I was with the A's for a long time. I've seen all different kinds of seasons, as you have. I don't know that I've seen a season quite like this, you know, where the highs and the lows were like, wow, this team's really good. And 2 weeks later, they were bad. And then 2 weeks later, they were good again. I mean, that lasted the whole final 3 months of the season. I found it to be a very abnormal season for any major league team, let alone the Giants. What are some of your quick thoughts about just in general the 2025 season?
Well, they gave me a headache because I'm writing, this team's terrific. This team, 2 weeks later, this team's awful. This team's awful.
Make up your mind, John.
Make up your mind, team. Who are you guys? They never told us who they were. And then all of a sudden, it's 81 and 81. So, okay, that's who you are. That's who you were last year. That's who you were the year before and the year before that. 81 and 81 forever. It's not really a rally cry, but it's who they were. And, you know, we're talking about Bob Melvin. If Buster doesn't make those trades at the deadline, maybe they're in the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
I mean, Tyler Rogers and Camilo Doval, I mean, he was flipping coins when it came time to picking bullpen guys in the final month or two, because Randy Rodriguez and Eric Miller, those guys were hurt, and the other two guys were traded to the New York teams. Yastrzemski was dealt. So at that time, like Buster said, the information that we were aware of and that we thought of, and we went with it. I said, okay, we're out of it. Let's bring in some new guys. And the Rogers trade in particular could reap some, you know, good talent.
Mm-hmm.
But then they got good again. And that screwed up everything. So wait a minute. Okay, now you're not building for the future. You're playing Wilmer Flores every day.
Yeah.
Okay, what benefit is that if he's going to be a free agent and not returning next season? So I'm still kind of dizzy thinking about it. But I think it's unfortunate that Bob Melvin got the blame. I think it was unfair. And I think it was very unprofessional by some in the media who looked at those Logan Webb comments in his second to last start as an indication that he wanted the manager fired. A lot of people that I know ran with that, and they were just totally wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I thought
I went to Webb afterward, after the group, which wasn't on TV, which wasn't on the radio. And I said, hey, when you spoke those strong words, were you thinking the manager at all? He said, oh, absolutely not. I want Bob Melvin to return next season, 100%. So, and he even referenced it after his final start. He said, hey, some of you guys kind of screwed this up, misconstrued comments, whatever. He didn't say it that strongly, but he did use the word misconstrued my comments. So that was unfortunate that people added 2 and 2 and got 9. But Melvin's gone. So you move on. He's a pro. He's a gentleman. You know, it's not like they didn't play for him, but I think it was bad luck. It was bad rhythm. It was bad, whatever you want to call it. Nobody blamed the manager. Nobody pointed fingers at the manager. I've covered teams, and you've been there in Oakland, and I've been there in San Francisco, where you say, man, yeah, he's kind of costing us games here. So we need a fresh voice. And I don't think that was the case, but I do think that it's the streakiest team I've ever seen. I've been covering baseball since I've been covering the mid 80s Padres. And I just don't remember a season where I just never knew who they were until the very end. And they reminded me again, they reminded you, we're just a 500 team with some holes that, and by the way, Buster Posey has a lot more work to do this offseason than he did last offseason. He brought in 2 guys. He brought in Verlander, he brought in Adames. And that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, he's got, times 6. He's got 3 starting pitchers. He's got a bullpen. He could use a half a dozen new guys. He doesn't have a closer. He doesn't have a setup man. Who's playing right field? who's the leadoff hitter? And what are you going to do with that outfield defense? It's just not good. Maybe bring in a couple of outfielders.
Yeah.
They used to be really good with these 6-year free agents. I think they got Gregor Blanco and Andres Torres, 10, 15 years ago. And some of this front office is still around, Jeremy Shelley's and Bobby Evans of the world, who were really good at that. And maybe that's a key to get back to just bring in a whole bunch of warm bodies and hope a few of them stick.
Yeah.
Because it certainly worked back in the day, and they just didn't have the depth this season in the lineup, defensively, and especially in the rotation and bullpen.
I could see them making a couple significant deals, John. I could. That would not surprise me at all. I think they need to. I think they need to make some changes in the outfield, and it would not surprise me at all if they make a couple significant deals and bring in maybe a couple players that are more what I think the front office is looking for in players. Maybe a little more defensive minded, a little more speed minded, put the ball in play a little bit. I could see them trying hard to get an outfielder that fits that category, because that's I think a better fit for this team. That's my comment on the whole thing. I don't know. We'll see.
And it doesn't have to be a Kyle Tucker. It could be somebody. I mean, how valuable was Dom Smith with his bat to ball skills?
Absolutely.
And the fact that he didn't strike out, and the fact that he was wonderful defensively, the best first baseman they have. Yeah. How valuable his wins and losses when in games he played is much better than the team's wins and losses overall.
Sure.
And hitting with runners in scoring position, which they struggled with most of the summer, he was very good at.
Yeah.
And that's a dilemma. It's like, okay, how sold are you on Bryce Eldridge? Enough so that you don't want Dom Smith? And Dom Smith told me that he's working with a speed coach for the second straight offseason to develop his outfield skills.
Yeah.
In AAA with the Yankees this year, he played the outfield.
Sure.
2 or 3 years ago with the Mets, he played the outfield. So he's a first baseman / outfielder in his mind. I don't know if he's an average defensive outfielder, but I think he's good enough to make you think, hey, we need that depth in our on our roster.
Yeah.
And
That's fair.
And we have all these strikeout guys like Devers and Adames, both career highs in strikeouts this year, career highs. And I don't think they care, because I asked Devers before the last game of the season, is this something you're going to try to work on, cut down on? He said, no. He said, I'm fine. He said, the production I provide otherwise is what I look at, not the strikeouts. I said, oh, okay. Yeah. So how much have we changed in the last number of years?
Significant too with Devers is if you look at his strikeout totals, they were very high this year. And in his career, the kind of hitter he is, he's a major power hitter. He has not been like a huge strikeout guy. I mean, if you have a 35 homer, 110 RBI guy who strikes out 125 times nowadays, that's really not that much.
That's true.
But
we grew up with Bobby Bonds.
Yeah,
who had the record for like 10 years because every manager pulled their guy in the final couple of weeks because they didn't want their guy to match Bobby Bonds' strikeout record. And
but my point is,
Devers, go ahead.
Devers, he set a career high in strikeouts this year by a significant amount. So that number needs to come down, I think, because he's, I don't know what the number was, but he was up around 185, I think, this year.
And a lot of those were streaky. Like in his first 19 at-bats with Boston, he struck out 15 times. And then he came here and he struck out 4 times a game, many times.
Yeah.
So what's going on here? But the point is, they have their strikeout guys. Chapman's numbers actually came down a bit, but Adames strikes out and Devers strikes out, and Elliott Ramos will strike out. Mm-hmm. So you have to complement those guys or balance those guys with bat to ball hitters.
Absolutely. The Glen Kuiper Show, All Giants, is brought to you by the Kehrig Real Estate Team. Since 1978, the Kehrig Real Estate Team has been helping families buy and sell homes across the Bay Area. With deep local roots and a legacy of client-first service, They are committed to delivering results with honesty, care, and expertise. Whether you're moving up, downsizing, or making your first purchase, trust the Kehrig Real Estate Team to guide you home. The Kehrig Real Estate Team, serving the Bay Area with pride for over 45 years. Contact Mike Kehrig today for a free home sale or purchase consultation. Call 925-548-4132 or go to the website at kehrigteam.com. Show is also brought to you by Tilden Properties. As an investor, one of the best places to put your money is California's multifamily real estate. When investing with Tilden Properties, you see cash flow with quarterly dividends while building equity in the real estate market. Bay Area based and family owned, Tilden Properties has been building investment wealth for their clients since 2008. Go to the website at tildenproperties.com or call 925-209-8558.